Perfect. Okay, so firstly, good evening, everyone. Good to have all of you joining us for this third session of our series, IPN Top 10 Priorities discussion for the year 2026. In our third session of this year, we have a very distinguished guest for whom I'll be quickly introducing to all of you. As a format, how we will do this is, which is, again, we will first hear it from our guest as to what are her priorities for the year 2026. And once that is done, which is usually the first half of our discussion, we will get into a section which is Q&A, wherein your questions or your observations, and we'll take it up one by one from there on, right? So I have a very distinguished guest. Firstly, Sunalini ji, thank you very much for accepting to do this with us. I know that I believe this is your first online session with us. We have while interacted with you offline. So lovely to have you. And Sunalini Benjamin is the Chief Operating Officer at the NCFE schools situated in Bangalore. With over 30 years of experience in the field of education, Sunalini Benjamin stands at the forefront of transformative school leadership in India. She is, as I mentioned, serving as a Chief Operating Officer at the NCFE schools based in Bangalore. She has played a pivotal role in shaping the organization's academic culture, operational system, and institutional growth across its three branches. Sunalini's journey in education began with a deep love for literature, earning her bachelor's and master's degree in English literature. She began her teaching career at Vidyashilp Academy, Bangalore, later joining Indus International School, again in Bangalore, where she rose from teacher to MYP coordinator, curriculum head, and eventually the head of school. These years gave her strong grounding in academic rigor, IB frameworks, and visionary school leadership. Her next chapter unfolded at NCFE, where she not only served as the principal, but grew into a role of COO, which she is holding as of now. She has since established 2 new schools, led academic and co-scholastic design, built data-driven performance monitoring systems, and driven stakeholder satisfaction initiatives with measurable outcomes. An ISO 9001-2015 lead auditor, Sunalini brings a systems mindset to everything she does, from curriculum audits and teacher evaluation frameworks to quality assurance and process automation. She holds a Cambridge International Diploma in Educational Leadership and a Product Management credential from ISB, reflecting her multidisciplinary expertise. Last but not the least, it was our honor to confer on her India's most impactful school leader in the year 2024, sorry. And with that, I formally welcome you, Sunalini ji. Good to have you with us. And let us first hear it from you, and then we'll go into our Q&A. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav ji, and the whole IPN team. This is a wonderful opportunity. It is my second stint with you, Gaurav. I've done one before. Vijayta knows that. Okay. So I thank you once more, because I'd like to start off, by actually giving this great disclaimer that this whole preparation really humbled me, because it made me start assessing myself from a different context. So that's something probably a little scary also. Yeah, I must add that, because I think fear is also important. It drives you further. So I just want to share that. And, co-working with about 250 colleagues of the 3 branches that we have in Bangalore, in our attempt to fulfill the vision and to, act out the mission in our daily activities, it's not a small feat. With the different kind of people we have, different individuals respecting their cultural background, their social background, their abilities, their intelligences, and, then to move everyone forward, again, aligning ourselves to the vision and the mission is not a small task. So I did feel very proud of my leadership team also, because I said, okay, we are doing quite a bit, Sometimes we never step back to really think of how much we have achieved. Very often we are always, what can we do better? But what did we achieve? So that's just one part of it. But then the larger picture that actually came to my mind was that how much deeper I should go into the priorities that I'm sharing with you. And I'd just like to, before I just start my presentation, I'd like to say that, whoever is present here could be a leader, could be a school owner, could be a teacher, right? So I'd like you to please look at this, look at whatever I'm presenting from your lens, so that you can look at, how you could really implement it in the school. So I'm just going to be sharing my presentation. Just give me 1 minute. I hope everyone can see my screen. Yes, is it
Coming
seen?
through, yes. It's just coming through. I think it's still, at least on my side, it's a blank slide so far, and then
1 minute, let me
black
just
window. Yeah.
do further. I did the practice, but I don't know what happened now. What happened?
You're maybe on the last slide. Can you, you're on the live slide, which is why end of slide. It is showing the end of slide to us.
Okay.
If you can just
No,
go
I
back.
think we did it the other way. Is that fine?
Yeah. Now you're on the first slide.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Go
So
ahead.
I don't know where the F is gone. I can't see the F, but then it's from noise to priorities is what I kind of just named it, because there's so much going around a leader or even a teacher for that matter. Like I said, my entire session is from any lens you can connect it. Okay. So I've titled it that, saying that, how do we just move out from all the chaos and just align ourselves, because there's so many things happening every day and we wonder what we're supposed to be doing. Okay. There's something. I'm not able to move my slide.
If you want, you can give us this on the WhatsApp. I'll play it from
Uh,
our side, whichever way it's comfortable.
I'm
Someone
okay.
from my team will do
Something
that for you.
sometimes I guess it's the internet. Okay. So I'd like to start with a burning question, first of all. So every priority of mine, because it made me also, it helped me to present when I had a burning question. So the first priority is personal leadership. Yeah, we can see that, right? Everyone
No,
can see.
no, your screen is disabled, as in you have removed your screen.
Oh,
Hmm. Yeah,
God, this is troubling me a bit then.
no problem. Just forward to us, it absolutely, and
Then
we'll play it from our side. Hmm.
I need to then disconnect because I need to time screen share.
Now we can see your screen,
Oh,
right?
now?
Yeah. Yes, we have come to the slide, personal leadership.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
I just hope this is the right thing I've done now.
Cool.
Okay, so what three words would my teachers, the burning question is, what three words would my teachers or team use to describe my leadership on a difficult day? And on such difficult days, who are my thought partners? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the personal leadership that I just want to talk about, is that how do I come across as my personality? Okay. How do I handle a difficult situation? How do I handle success? And how do I trust and inspire people? So this is something that I think all of us have to, whether we are at whichever capacity, how do we keep refining our leadership? Are we learning something new? Do our meetings have something that a person can take away other than just giving them, we need to do this, we need to do that, this is the deadline, that is the deadline, okay? So one of the practices that I have seen that towards every Wednesday when we have a meeting at NCFE, we have something called a leadership bite. Okay, so we just discuss a particular point, and that's the kind of, we end on that so that everyone just leaves the meeting hopefully reflecting on that particular leadership bite. So this is something I feel that is very, very, very important for leaders. How do they refine themselves periodically? Okay. How do they actually share something that they have read, whether they have seen something? Is there some professional sharing, or is it only just meeting points? Okay. Another angle to this would be is, how do you set your goals? How do you periodically review it, assess yourself, be critical about your performance also, and monitor your progress first? Review your action plan so that then you can pass that on to the teachers. So, in this capacity, I would like to say, that the school's culture, it can only rise to the level of the leadership's character, because I feel the principal is the person who can literally change the entire culture of a school, or the leader who's at the helm, because how their values are, how their culture is, what they are exactly rubbing on to the school is what is my first priority. Yeah. My second priority would be to put student well-being at the center. So here my question again would be, if three students were asked who listens to you in this school, whose names would they say? Okay, so this is again something that I'm sure all schools will be working towards. But then, how can we get deeper into this? How can we be very adaptable to the different needs that keep evolving from children? Yeah. So here I was just thinking about, because there's nothing can really be sustainable if somebody doesn't feel physically and emotionally safe. And how do we bring in the culture of gratitude? So, in this context, it's very important for leaders to identify how their teachers look, sound, feel, behave, to get those little non-verbal communication also, to be able to understand that their expressions. Likewise, the teachers to the students, right? If somebody is a little disengaged, why are they disengaged? What is happening over there? Can we have those little emotional check-ins, just to see what's the feel, how are people feeling, are they very toned down, are they very quiet? Because the quietest people have the most insight, right? Sometimes the loudest also may have the most insight and just has a different cover up. So, how can we periodically at our different levels have these little emotional check ins? How can reflection and journaling become a part of us, so that, even if I'm not able to share something with somebody, can I just write down my thoughts? And when I get myself organized a bit, then can I put it across to somebody? Because not everyone can really express, or they may feel shy about it. But how can I reflect from all angles? It could be, you had a situation where you're upset about something, right? Or somebody has said something to you. But could we have the maturity to step back and say, okay, let's see from which angle they came, and could I just understand them after, of course, you go through your own sorrow, your own sadness, whatever those difficult phases do come in. And how can we give that, the environment that there is an adult that you can speak to? How can we bring in that system? How can we have a different activities where, or different areas where children can just come and talk about what they're feeling? So the class teacher itself, the subject teacher itself, before she starts, could she just have a check on how the class is, how are people feeling? If somebody's pretty quiet, what happened? Those little uh, checks is what I would feel, that I would want to bring in a better system of just looking at student well-being and ensuring that everybody is feeling good, including my colleagues, everyone together, yeah, the whole school. My third priority would be reskill and re-energize teachers. So here I feel that, when did we last ask our teachers what they want to learn and then act on it? So the needs analysis, are we doing it as leaders because we just want this to happen? Yes, we also are under pressure that certain targets have to be achieved, certain initiatives have to be implemented. We could be bombarded by the board, by the state government, even leaders have got this. But could we also have a little time for them to ask them, what is it that you want to learn? What do you want to do? And when you focus on things like, when you're doing the PD sessions, or you're encouraging them to join beautiful networks like the IPN, how could we go beyond the academics also? Today, when you talk to teachers, you start understanding that the problems are very varied. Improving their academics, if you ask me, is the easiest. Improving the results is the easiest, but how do I deal with a teacher who's going through some emotional turmoil at home, maybe the health of somebody at home, maybe a financial crisis? So when we talk about re-energizing and reskilling, I think it should also be teacher well-being. How do they handle different anxious situations, right? How do they handle financial literacy? You have many single women today, even married women. How do you take care of yourself? How are you healthy? You have many above 40. So how do you help them with that? So I feel that reskilling and re-energizing, that is also very important, where you do not have tired teachers or under-supported teachers, because they are not intrinsically motivated. Extrinsic motivation is only to a certain limit. But how do I get my teachers, and how do I really know what they want? Okay, so this is something that needs analysis at the teacher level, and not assuming that, you should be knowing it. I'm sorry. I know there is a difficulty for a leader, because there are certain things that have to be done. There's just no two ways, but a bit of balance. How could we just, work around that is my third priority. My fourth would be to build inclusive and equitable schools. So how often do we hear the voices of children and parents who typically remain silent? Okay, so that's another thing. Again, the universal access to learning, being able to pace out learning to handle different kinds of children, different kinds of learning needs, different abilities. So, how could our curriculum design be put in such a way that we respect differences, whether it's culturally, emotionally, language barriers, gender bias, all kinds of things, which most of us know, and how could we target academic and emotional support? So this is something, because I think this differentiation is where the whole problem starts coming in, when you have differentiation. And I think it's very important, because it builds a very important value of respect. So even how do we actually respect our opinions? You voice an opinion, even if you're not in agreement with the opinion, but how do you respect it and take something out of that? How do you
Correct.
communicate that? So I think that is something that is very important. And I think student learning, it can never outgrow teacher learning. And I think that is, oh, I'm so sorry, I went back.
60.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. So I
Stuff.
think you have to think about the most vulnerable child over here. So that is something that I feel. And when I talk about inclusive and equitable, I also feel that parent partnership is very important. Understanding the parental background, understanding the parent community. And that's one area that I really need to work on. I really need to work on this, because I feel that bringing in parents more into the entire education system is something that will really help the child and the family also. And it helps the teacher understand where are the gaps, because the gaps could not only be academic, it could be a social or an emotional one, which is affecting the academic. Okay, so this is something which is a very big area for me in parents as partners, because to a certain extent we involve them. But how do I also define that line where I cannot
Mm.
allow them to cross, and so they don't become teachers for us? Because I'm not saying that they may not know, but then there are certain nuances, and I have to give credit to what the teacher knows, right? So that is a little challenging priority, but yeah, we need to work around that. Leading technology and not chasing it, because anything new is very exciting, right? So yesterday I came across this thing which said Google has come out with something, learn it your way or something like that. There's a new thing where you can prepare your own textbook.
Hmm.
Okay. So yesterday, because our director is very much into technology, so he took me through this, and it's really crazy. You just open it and you start putting in, and then you get your own textbook. Okay, by whatever, I think it's learn your way. Something Google has come up with. Just look into that.
Yeah, this
So
is
you get so excited about it, but then this is my burning question. If I had to switch off every device for a week, what are the strengths in our pedagogy that would remain, and what weaknesses would be exposed? So if you
absolutely
did not
brilliant.
have any of those boards, if you did not have anything, well, a teacher just has to probably go and just sit in an empty classroom or under a tree and take a class. What would she do? This is another thing where I feel we should not lose out on that. So technology needs to be used to support our daily activities, okay, whatever the records need to be maintained, to help a teacher come out with different interesting activities, probably, or for differentiation. Yes, it could be used for some visual learning, but never at the cost of the teacher being the main person. Yes, so it should never ever compensate a teacher's role, okay, and it should not become another distraction or another reason for inequality. See, because when you say go back home and do this, some of them may have it, some of them may not have it. So again, and we in our school, we have quite a few children who belong to the RT section, the right to education. So what do we do? I still remember during COVID, my team was so good that they tied them up with different parents. So we had people from the lower economic strata, they belonged to auto rickshaw drivers' children. We tied them up with another child so that they could, listen to the class on the mobile and things like that. And in this, I think it's very important to be transparent and tell a teacher as to where technology is being used to assess them,
Mm.
or if there is a voice recording also, tell them that why it's being done so that there is transparency and they do not feel intimidated about it, right? And I think the other part is also understanding what is their need and training them for it. So this is a lot of, see, you need to train them in certain good instructional practices, assessment practices, plus you have technology. So again, for the leader, it's very difficult, but then yes, at least assess yourself where you are, align yourself and see what you need to do over here. And how do you actually balance this well-being with technology, not at all compromising on the human intelligence or the human touch in education, yeah? I think that was the topic, right, Vijeta, that we did last time, human intelligence versus, yes, I'm just recollecting now. Okay. Deepen NEP implementation. Competency-based teaching is something that really is very close to my heart. So if an outsider walked through your timetable, classrooms, report cards, where would they actually see NEP 2020 alive beyond posters and speeches? This again is something that is a burning question for me. And what evidence do I have? What evidence do I have to show how NEP is being implemented? How is it being used? Okay. I mean, it has so many beautiful aspects to it, whether you talk about, from competency, mastery, to whether you're talking about experiential learning, project based, formative assessment, feedback loops. How has it informed instruction? So, how has instruction been altered, right? Then, how do your assessment patterns change, which is more student friendly? What does the formative tell you so that you can alter your lesson to move into the summative? What about redo, right? Academic rigors, all these things are there, but is it really evidenced in your classroom? So how do you go through that? How are you able to tell an outsider exactly where you are? Okay. And your continuous development is something. So this will only remain a document unless we actually make it very visible in our pedagogy, assessment, and our learning outcomes. So I think that is something that I really, for me, the second part, I would say competency based, because I think in our school, the FLN is working well, but competency based is something that's one of my biggest priorities. Data informed decision making, as a reflective improvement. Data is something very close to me. I enjoy just, studying data. So, what decisions did we take last year that were truly based on evidence and not what we felt? Okay. So, do you have the evidence to actually tell you what is the trend? Because this is something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy analyzing data and what is data telling me. Okay. So if after a holiday, if the third day, the second day, after a long weekend, many people take off, what is that data telling me as a leader? Okay. Is it telling me that teachers are not bothered? Is it telling me that teachers are careless? Is it telling me that they needed more family time? A simple, a very raw example I'm just giving you. But then when you really study data and you look at pattern trends, you look at the root cause and then you try to understand as who will do what when, what worked, what didn't work for us, what's working, what should be strengthened, what should be redundant, right? These are the things that I think are very, very important. And unless you really have honest reflections, honest, and you should have the ability to accept the truth of what the data is staring at your face. I think schools will be working on the wrong things if they don't focus on analyzing data, analyzing what is the root cause analysis of, what data is showing you. Yeah. So I think that is something. And so what should we change? What should we strengthen? And teaching people to interpret data. Interpreting data, I think, and what, because see, sometimes, there are limitations also with data. So we need to understand that what is it telling me and what should I do and how will I actually ethically plan myself. My eighth one is from marks to meaningful learning. This is another thing that's very, very close to my heart. And I was just asking myself, if marks disappear, can our students clearly articulate what skills they are building, how are they growing as leaders, and how do they apply learning in real situations? So this is something that I really want to work on for next year. It's one of my big priorities. And I'm glad, Gaurav, again, I want to thank you because you've made me think, at the right time when we're getting ready for 26, 27. So with project-based learning and things like that, portfolios, this is something that came to my mind. I just want to read out what I have written for myself as one of my presentation slides, which I do in May, is what can we shift from measuring what students score to documenting how students learn, lead, and grow? I'll just repeat that. Can we shift from measuring what students score to documenting how students learn, lead, and grow? So for this, obviously, there's no other better answer than portfolios, yes, and journals, yes, because it really tells you exactly what your children enjoy, what skills they developed. Reflection will tell you exactly leadership in action. Okay, so if you really look at this statements that I've put there, marks show performance, journals reveal leadership, but portfolios build leadership. Okay, because it's beautiful when you yourself can analyze where you went wrong than another person telling you. So that's the eighth one. The ninth would be meaningful partnerships and community partnerships, which is so important. A platform like this is a wonderful example. So what picture of learning do parents or any other person, okay, get from us today? Marks, events, processes, or growth? So we have our parents as the main community partner, okay? We have forums like this. We've got your alumni, you've got the community. So how are you actually working with them? Because I think, it's something that is, you learn a lot when you connect. Now we've got something like parent expert talks, right? When you have parent expert talks, you're using your own talent in-house. And there's so many, even if you've got, I mean, I'm sure all the schools here have got huge numbers. So we've got about 3,000. So you just imagine the number of the parent body, right? What would they look like? And what is the skill that they can bring? What can they talk to the children? So on Saturdays, we try to give a little break to the kids when they have school and just get parent experts to talk to them for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just during their class time, that just gives them a little breather. And also when the parent talks, he's telling them that where the job will take them, what is the expectation for them. Likewise, we had one of our best practices where we get the alumni to come in and talk to our children just before their board exams, telling them that what is the importance of those board exams, what are the importance of those scores, what kind of preparation should you have, what kind of mindset should you have, how does life outside school look like, what does it actually tell you, what should you be prepared for, because you're not going to be protected the way you are. So alumni coming, we've got alumni as chief guests also, we call them as chief guests, and I think that is something that really builds the community. Okay, so I think when they become co-educators, I think the school will do much better, because you are a school, I believe, is a community and you impact a larger community also. So that is something that I just want to kind of strengthen a lot more and work on that. And these few practices are really helping us. But how could I make it a little more frequent is something that we want to work on. And getting parents to also volunteer to be part of school programs, because I think that really helps them understand the value of the hard work that our colleagues put in. So I think that's another beautiful area which I just have to look at certain areas to that I want to improve on. I would say future-proof leadership and governance. This, I think, because it's what at the end of the day, it is how the leader is leading the team. What are they doing in taking them forward? So do our review and meetings spend more time on past problems or on future scenarios and preparedness? Okay. So what are we doing is something that is really worrying at times for me as to, is it a personality centric leadership, or is it something that is, a change that you're looking at which is sustainable, where you have succession planning, you're able to trust at the lower level, and not blame them, but take the blame yourself if something has not gone well. So what kind of mentoring are you doing? What kind of coaching are you doing? What kind of responsibilities are you giving people, trusting them by even with pilot projects? I think this future leadership is something that I would say that you need to be very, very inspirational, very inspirational, and a lot of trust has to be there with ethical standards, right? And accountability structures. I think that is something because we've got for the three schools, we've got about 10 people who are leading these, but then my worry is always, even this morning, I was telling one of my principal, I'm only successful if one of you can sit in my chair. That's the day I will call myself successful. Till then, I think I'm not at all successful, and I'm still on a journey of discovering potential, discovering talent, discovering leadership, and it's just getting better. It's just getting better because everybody is getting honed. But one thing I would really want leaders to think about is risk mitigation. Even if you're a teacher, you're leading yourself, a student also. What is the risk mitigation, and how do you actually take care of it through very good documentation and evidence? Because even when you're telling somebody that you're not too good, you need to improve, or you want to send away somebody, you can't just do that without proper evidence. So that's where I say the ethics comes in. That's where I say system has to come in. That's why I say documentation has to come in. That's why I say there has to be a leadership, learning, and culture across the entire school, which actually talks about future proof competencies, I would like to say. A competency of integrity, a competency of problem solving, of initiative, right? Of a well planned a leader who doesn't make it difficult for people. I was talking to somebody the other day, they said, we get messages even at 1 o'clock in the night. And if we don't give a thumbs up, the next day the coordinator, looks at us and says, you did not respond. So how do we actually, balance all of this and respect family time of teachers? And, I had this very bad habit. I get up at 4 o'clock, and soon as I get up, I'm like, whatever is my thoughts, I'm just posting it in the group. And this January, I promised myself, that after my yoga class, 7 o'clock, I'll post the first message. So I'm diligently trying to follow it. Maybe once or twice I've broken the rule, but this is something I'm consciously doing. So I think earlier my team used to say, ma'am, you get up so early. Now I think they're all like fed up. Okay, this lady, I mean, this is how she is. But that's something that I try to change for myself because I think this is very important. Respecting time, respecting their values, but still bringing in that culture of learning and togetherness, bonding, growth. Just to sum up everything that I've put over there, all my priorities, I think building such schools is the best gift you can give back to the people who believed in you. And I just have one small takeaway. So I just like everyone to just think about this, that before you leave, consider this. If someone walked into your school tomorrow and asked a child, why does your principal slash teacher slash leader care so much about these 10 things? What would that child say? Is it the brochure answer, or is it something that is revealed in your actions, your time, and your decisions? Thank you. With that, I'm done.
Excellent. Absolutely. Yes. It's a litmus test of all the priorities we have set out. But I'm absolutely thankful for a very simple reason that you highlighted, Sunalini ji, which was that what was the entire purpose of this exercise? The entire purpose of this exercise every year was to make the leaders sit back and think. And if it has done that bit, we have achieved our task for sure. No, this was precisely the aim, and which is why I'm going to quickly encourage every leader who has joined us today here this evening that while we have received 400 responses, but I would really encourage that we still have 3 more days. I would love all of you to go back on that form. It will take only 10 minutes of your time, but it will make you think. That's the more important part. I know it will make you think after the school hours also. So I borrow those 10 minutes from you. But I'm genuinely saying that not only it will help you as a leader, but it will help us as a community. And that is the core goal of this entire exercise. So firstly, I think very exhaustive list. And I'm so glad that you stuck to the 10 point. I was just wondering that maybe it will be 11 or maybe it will be 9, but I'm happy that it was 10. And every point actually packs a punch. If I may say, everything is very reflective. I was noting all of them down. And personally for me, that there are few very, very important takeaways. And I believe in data, as you really pointed out, that every decision needs to be backed by very substantive proof on how it has eventually arrived at, or leader is taking a decision. It should not be intuitive. It should be really data backed for that matter. So I know this has been a great session so far. We have just done with our first half of the discussion, which is that we have heard Sunalini ji and her top 10 priorities as a leader. I'm glad that we had one bit of role into play in this, that we made you think to really note it down for that matter. Because if you look at the original thought of it, we feel top 10 priorities. I know it. What are my priorities basically? But they are all in our mind. They're not documented anywhere. So the only thing maybe this would have done is that it would have made you put it down on a piece of paper. And I'm sure
I want to prepare a handout. If you wish to, I will send it to you, and you can circulate to all the schools
we
that
will
you.
do that. We will, in fact, that is why, see, the point is, and these are important stack. This is the third session of our in this series for that matter. We usually do not promote these more than once on our networks also. Yet, if you can get 160 odd leaders on that evening, I'm only feeling that they were all listening to you very, very patiently and very diligently for that matter. So great session. Already we are on the right track. We would love to now hear your questions or your observations directed towards Sunalini ji. I will only request this, that we keep this pretty focused. And why I'm saying this is that usually we have so much to think about or we have to discuss, we somehow forget which direction we want to get our questions to, right? So that's, please keep the focus on to what are your priorities maybe. Are you in alignment with Sunalini ji? Maybe we can add a couple of them, or you want to have a reaffirmation that yes, exactly, these are your 10 priorities maybe. Quite possible. Love to hear from all of you. Give us a virtual show of hand. Please do come on the video, give us your brief introduction, and then we'll hand it over to you. Yeah. Ms. Deepa Acharya is the first one. I'll help you unmute. Please go ahead.
Very good evening, Mr. Gaurav. A fantastic initiative. And I have a small question to ma'am. Ma'am, I love the two words you used, equity and inclusion, which certainly is my focus for this academic year, 26-27 for my school. Could you please throw some light on how is that I can work on equity and inclusion? I come from an area where we cater to people from blue collar jobs, not much educated, not creamy layer. And I see a lot of children are quite enthusiastic, quite talented, but they're underprivileged and they don't have much opportunities. Like tech opportunities are also quite less. So we are a school who believe more in human teaching rather than technology, because of course they do not have that facilities at home as well. So a little light from your end on how I can execute on equity and inclusion in a school setup wherein I have 750 children who need individual attention and a lot of handholding would probably help me plan a better future for our school.
So thank you so much for that question. And yes, it is a very big challenge to get that going. But I would say that since you're doing a lot of hands-on teaching and learning with the children, don't worry too much about technology. But when you come to the hands-on activities, use the multiple intelligence number one. Multiple intelligence should help you. The whole, the gamut of it will help you design your lessons accordingly. because you have got visual learners, you've got kinesthetic learners, right? You've got different kinds of learners. So just work out when your lesson plans, when the teachers are making it, ensure that at least some activities are based towards this. That could be one of your activities. The second one could be that allow them to reflect in their mother tongue. Allow them to, express themselves in their mother tongue, and that whenever it's not really being assessed, like, a reflection. Those kind of things can be in the mother tongue, because that is also one form of inclusion where you're respecting it. Number 3 is when you have different questions, you have a chapter and then you're giving them homework. Give them, probably, if you're giving them 10 questions, say that 4 are mandatory or 5 are mandatory, okay? And leave the other 6 to their freedom, okay? Give them that pace of learning. Some of them probably will take up that. So a teacher should be intelligent enough to be able to capture which are those first 5 that are mandated to achieve the learning outcome. After which, the others can be a choice for them. Okay, even the assessments that they're making, let it all not be just written. Let it be like a mind map. Let it be like a cartoon. Let it be like a puzzle. Let it be like coming up with a script. And it can be in a group discussion so that there's somebody who's leading them, and then the remaining is done at home. So I feel that, there are a zillion number of activities that I can tell you, but I feel that when you're designing the lesson itself, if you try to keep all these learners in mind, what will happen is it is much easier for the teacher, and you will see that you are touching equity and inclusion. And I'm not sure whether you have got a special needs program, whether it's a pull-out program, okay, whether it's a push-in program. I'm not very sure about that. But if you're having that also, you're giving them the ability to be themselves. Are you modifying question papers for them? Are you, just like I said, you give them only 4 questions to write, but then you ensure that the learning outcome is achieved. For a special needs child, when you're writing certain words, can we give a modified version of that question, which makes it simpler for the child to understand? Can we ask the child in just probably, in a just one word answer, if a child cannot write too much? So different forms of assessment, all these are parts of inclusive education. Okay, so I've only covered the teaching learning aspect with you. But then when you get into music, you get into dance, you get into drama, you get into behavior, everything you can customize in different ways where you take care of everyone. Even the way the school is placed, have you taken care of having the lift? I recently had the experience of one of my schools going for the affiliation process, and I was really happy to see the way CBSE has really taken care today of they measured the ramp, whether it went into the special toilet. Okay, they checked that. They checked whether it went into the lift. So these little things also build up in inclusivity and equity. I hope I've been able to touch base somewhere, because it's a very huge topic and you can do many things on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to you for the vision you shared, and I'm going to adapt it. Thank you so much.
And
Thank you, Mr.
anytime we can, discuss and
दीपा
have.
जी, आपने ये नहीं बताया कि आप कहाँ से हैं, मैं ये पूछ रहा था.
I'm from Bangalore. I work for a school in Kodgelli, Vidyaranipura, Bangalore.
Okay, lovely, fantastic.
We can connect anytime, any exchange programs we can do. You're close by.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Tarunum Iqbal, your question.
Yes, my dear principal.
She waited for the IPN session to ask you a question. She could have just gone to your
I'm
cabin.
quite accessible.
Is it? I hope this is not planted. Never mind.
No. I have not done anything.
Okay.
Yes,
Tarunam ji, your question, you'll have to unmute yourself.
okay. Was it error or something? Tarunam, are you there?
So when we are helping you unmute, you'll have to just pause for a while. You'll get a display and then you can unmute yourself. Now, there's some problem, some issue. Anyway, any other questions so that we can quickly take it up? Please give us a virtual show of hand, and then we can. In fact, there are a few points which I think Sunalini ji was pointing out, and I believe there are so many leaders. If you're doing that in your institution and you're doing it with reasonable amount of success, I think you should share with us or share with her as well as to she can really take it up. Example, she was pointing out meaningful parent community partnership is an area where she really want to prioritize herself this year, example. So maybe in our gathering today of leaders, if you are instituting or you are collaborating, yes, Sonia is a fantastic leader. I'm happy that Sonia has raised her hand. Sonia, go ahead, please. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Gaurav, for this opportunity and for that mentioning that I am a good leader. I'm not sure whether I am or not, but I have two things to ask. First is my question to ma'am. So, see, in a school, you would always want to create a culture of leadership, and you would want many emerging leaders to take up the responsibility so that it's not that you work at ease, that when you have to step out, you have reliable people, but also as a good leader, you must prepare the next line. And it becomes a challenging task that I see in these years because those who are in their 50s, definitely, they have seen times when teachers and leaders were respected like gurus by parents. And they don't accept the kind of behavior and demands this generation parents put up. So you don't see them emerging leaders fitting into until unless they are not very passionate and upskilling themselves. If they are in that mindset where they were 15 years before, they are not the right emerging leaders because they won't be able to uh, take forward the kind of parents we have now which are coming up. So you see a problem with them coming as emerging leaders. And when you see this new generation, there is hardly anyone who passionately want to become a teacher. So you have crisis there as well, people coming into education sector. So my biggest problem is how to motivate and find the right emerging leaders. That is my problem. So once I hear from you the solution, then I have a solution about community, partnership with parents that I can share with you.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. I'm a prime example, ma'am. I was not a great student in school. I was just a teacher. And when I was first offered a leadership role, I cried in the principal's office because I always felt leadership was very tough and you can't enjoy. And my actual statement to my Mrs. Rao of Indus, I will never forget, is I told her that I want to have fun. Don't take away the fun from me because I was very quick with my work. So I would finish and then, I would do a lot of naughty things. So I think, ma'am, you are absolutely right that you're not going to get the same kind of dedication. We keep talking about it in our school. But I also feel that when you look at youngsters, they have a different mindset. I have the privilege of working with a 34-year-old boss and a 65-year-old. So I'm in between the father and the son. Now, when I look at the way the younger man thinks, it's not that he is away from leadership or from responsibility, or it's just that they think different. Okay. The elder one has a lot of hand holding. The younger one wants to leave you alone and says, this is what I expect and I want you to do it. So while I completely agree with you that, there is something that inside of us, it has to be there. There are certain competencies, certain values that cannot be compromised if you're looking into leadership. But let me tell you, there are plenty of them out there. It's how you as a leader hone them. Because I have seen magic in some of my leaders. I've got a wonderful team of leadership. I have seen how they have transformed. One of my leaders, I was told that within the second day, she would be out from the school. But she has transformed so much. And I would say about each one of them. So it's how you actually identify what is missing in that leader, which is needed. Because there are certain things that are needed. Let's not, think about what is not needed. It is all needed. Certain norms are there. Certain values, certain attributes like role modeling, it has to be there. Values of integrity has to be there. So that is something you need to constantly spend time with your succession planning. And it may feel, it drains you out as a leader, ma'am. It's a very selfless effort. I spend at least half an hour every day with one leader on some motivational talk. I may have blasted the person the previous day or something, but then the next day we are sitting together and doing a reflection. And finally, they come back and they say, ma'am, you were right. It's not that I want to hear that I was right. It's just that I want them to understand where they went wrong or how could they be better, to put it in a much more positive angle. So, ma'am, it's a constant effort to build leaders. And the beautiful part would be when you are not in school one day, if the school is running beautifully, if they're handling things well, just be proud that you've done your work. Just be proud that you have honed people. Sometimes there is a risk of leaving them alone, right? But you need to take that risk to allow. It's like our kids. Sometimes we just need to leave the home to them, right? Today is your day to cook, and you just have to trust them and leave the kitchen to them. It's the same kind of logic that you have to do with leaders, because you need to remember that you cannot be there. And I think whichever institution we are serving, the best that we can do to give back to the management is to work on the systems, to build up a beautiful culture, and to give them leaders who can replace you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
That's my answer.
Yeah, a lot of takeaways. I'm
It's a
definitely
big
going
selfless
to.
effort, I'll tell you, but you get beauty. At the end of the day, you just have to say, was my day fulfilling? With that one talk that you had, did you feel fulfilled at the end of the day?
Thank you so
And
very
one practice I can just suggest, ma'am, if you don't mind, is that you could probably alternate your leadership every 2 years.
much.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, in case, again, depends on
That we have a system of
the start
rotating
of leadership.
HODs, coordinators,
Just
definitely.
kind of rotate it, because you never know what will come out from somewhere.
No, but I liked your idea of sitting one day with each leader. So if in a month I can figure out 10 such days where even I talk to 10 of my leaders, and we, through mutual discussions, we can come up with something which takes them to a different level. I think that is my
Yeah. Ask them what are their challenges. Ask them to be, and
takeaway.
you need to
Thank
also
you,
be
ma'am. And
restricted to yourself and not talk about it twice.
yes, yes. So you were asking about community partnership. So two things that have worked at my school is, one is we do a weekly podcast and it's about stories. So we read out stories to the children, and it's an audio podcast with a very mindfully. We have picked up this exercise not to add on the screen time, but we also at the same time want our children to know about our culture, about our epics. So we read Ramayana to them, we read Mahabharata to them. So when I say that we do story podcasts, so in a school there are 4 type of stories that are being recorded every Wednesday. One goes to pre-primary, primary, middle, and senior, and these are recorded by parents and grandparents. So in the beginning of the year, we pick up what kind of stories we are going to read to this batch for this entire year. We put them in a spreadsheet. When we invite parents, those who have good voice and would like to speak with confidence with voice modulation, forms are being circulated. Parents do sign up. Then we have a video to orient them that how to record. If they want to come to school, they can come. Otherwise, they can record from home with the basic guidelines that we give them, and we host it on Spotify. Even if you search Silvan Junior School podcast, you would find many. So these are that's kind of community involvement. Another thing that we do is parents put up one assembly in a year for students, and in all our competitions, the judges are parents. So first round is open to all students, so for any competition. And when it is the second round or the third final round where there are some selected students, so if there are some students who are not selected for the third round but they were till the quarter final or semi final, basically their parents are taken as judge, so that these parents are also put at rest that why my child was not selected for finals, because they themselves get to see the level those who are there in the final. So these 2 3 practices we started last year, and I think they are working very well with us as far as involvement of parents are concerned.
Thank you. That was so lovely. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Pleasure, ma'am.
Ms. Deepa, go ahead, please. Thank you, Sonia.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Thank you, IPN and team, for setting this up for Sunalini ma'am. It's overwhelming and heartwarming for me to see ma'am address so many principles, because we get this session with ma'am every day. What ma'am mentioned here, that she believes in inspirational leadership, is what we see day in and day out. While I do have my conversations with ma'am on personal and professional grounds, but I'm going to take this platform to also address something that I always talk to ma'am about. That is, with all the systems and processes that we have in place, that's beautiful ones that we have at NCFE school. For me, it's been a constant struggle to have consistency with those system and processes. And so I always reach out to ma'am and, with my leadership team as well, to help us put this in place. And it's not more of a question to ma'am. I'm just, saying this to everybody out there, that it is okay to seek help. It is okay to ask for help when we need it, because leaders have to have all the answers at all times. And that's something that I learned from Sunalini ma'am. It's okay to be not okay. And that's something that NCFE school believes in. So we've always reached out to our leader. And I think ma'am has given all of us an opportunity to reach out to her. And I'm sure she's going to find solutions for all our problems. Hopefully, ma'am. And
Not
thank you
staged,
again.
Gaurava, not staged, okay? Deepa, thank you. And I learned from all of you. Thank you so much for that. It is a give and a take, yeah? So
Right.
thank you for that.
Consistency is something that I will be
If you had a
working on.
question, I'd have been very happy, Deepa. Do you want to know how to maintain consistency?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If you could help me with that. I did have a discussion with you this morning, but I'd like to, I'd like to benefit everybody out here.
When is your next appraisal?
It's already done, Mr. Gaurava. It's already done.
No, Sunalini, I was asking with Sunalini ji, right? Anyway, the Vice Principal of IDPS, your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not a big question, ma'am. I have joined in between the session. Sunalini, ma'am, I was impressed with your last concluding words, that best return that we can give to the management. Could you kindly repeat the same sentence? I'm just noting it down. I was very much impressed.
The last slide, sir, or my last sentence?
Yeah, the best return we can give to the management is making the leaders who can replace. Could you kindly repeat the same?
Yes. So this is something that is my mission, my personal mission, sir, that wherever I have worked, this is something, because I feel the management has believed in us and has made us leaders, right? Have given us the responsibilities of their schools. So I feel the best gift that you can give back to them is to build a wonderful culture in their school with the right systems and processes. I will not mince my words. I'm a lead auditor, so I'm very particular about systems and processes. And also, sir, if you could hone leaders and give them back. So when you're exiting, right?
Yes.
Who is the leader, or who are those 2-3 leaders that you can nominate and you are confident that they can sit in your chair?
Okay.
Yeah, they may not have the same personality as you, that's fine. As long as they have understood the culture of the school, they will make mistakes, but you should be prepared to hone such leaders.
Yes.
So I feel that's what we need to give back to the management. So this is my personal belief.
Fantastic, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Fantastic. We still have 7 odd minutes. Any other question or any other observation? Just give us a virtual show of hand. We'll help you unmute and then you can ask your question. I think, okay, Maria Andrea, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ma'am. I'm Andrea from NCFE CVR and I'm a teacher. Ma'am, I just have one question for you. According to you, what is that one quality you think which will make us an irreplaceable leader?
I don't think you should have that, sweetie. I will never ask you to do that, okay? Because I believe everybody is indispensable. I'm sorry, but this is my personal belief. And I don't think you should ever become irreplaceable, right? I just spoke about honing new leaders, right? Looking at people who can replace you. That's when you're a wonderful leader, Maria. I know you're very young. I know you've just joined us. But that is something. Never, even as a teacher, never become somebody that nobody can replace. You should be able to pass on that knowledge to others, that skill to others. You should be able to share so that there is somebody else, because you cannot always be there. Okay, so I'm very sorry. I won't agree to your question, but yeah, I don't think anybody is indispensable, and you should be able to share knowledge, hone people, build up people, succession planning. That's why we give you a lot of opportunities there. You know how many responsibilities Deepa has given you, right? Being a new teacher.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You got to compare. So these are very, very important things, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Like maybe the way that I put forth my question was the choice of words would have been wrong, but my intention was what is that one quality according to you you think will leave a mark on my students' life, that so that I will be remembered by my students, like just the way how we all have a teacher who would have played the role of very close to our heart. So that was my question,
Two
ma'am.
things would come to my mind. One is your integrity, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How honest are you in giving them feedback? How unbiased are you? And the second would be, how have you instilled the curiosity for learning? Because students will always remember that teacher who kept the class going live. Yeah. Where even they never got a chance to feel bored, but they were always engaged with something. So how did you bring in that drive for curiosity? So when you enter the class, it should be like, okay, today Maria has come. Now, what is she going to give us today? Okay, what is she going to make us think? So that curiosity, that love for curiosity, I think is what would make you be remembered as a wonderful teacher, and integrity.
Yes, ma'am. I think now I got the answer. Yes. Thank you so much,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry if I misunderstood you too.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excellent. Yep. We still have time for question, maybe. Otherwise, we had a lovely time. In fact, and I personally feel one of the leadership aspect of what I think Sonali ji said is a great, for at least for me, is a great point to think about, that whenever you are in a position of leadership, you'll have to be selfless. You'll have to really feel that what are you giving back to the institution you are part of, which is very, very important, because we usually only feel what am I getting out of this, right? Fantastic. Right, we'll have one more question, everybody. Anyone with question or no question or observation? Otherwise, we will thank Sonali ji for this wonderful session, and we'll say bye-bye to each one of you. No one. So thank you, Sonali ji. I believe, yeah. Oh, Trupti, go ahead.
For starters, Sonali ji, I think you personify humility. I was overwhelmed in so many instances as to how calmly you conducted that. The entire 40 minutes that you spoke, it was so calm, it was so soothing. I think that is a different kind of inspiration. You were just, I'm going to come and meet you personally because I'm in Bangalore. I'm
Please
I'm just so
welcome to
inspired
NCFE.
with your demeanor more than anything else. I think you gave us valuable lessons in humility, and everything that a leader needs to hear in this year. Because I think when we look around, we see crazy leaderships at this point. And it's so easy to go down that slippery route the moment you have power. But for you to have brought it to the fore, and knowing how many of your people are attending this session, because they could have very well called you out on practices that were not consistent with what you were saying. But amazing. Thank you so very much for sharing this. I think it was a fabulous lesson learned, and very, very inspiring. Thank you very much, and all the very best.
Thank you so much. And please come down to NCFE anytime.
I will. I most certainly will. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Absolutely. I think what Tripti ji very beautifully articulated. This is what exactly I think we all think about this session. And one final bit, which is that question which I believe Tarannum was trying to ask. There was some problem with her audio bit. She was trying to ask the question, the difference between servant leadership and transformational leadership. That is what her question was. If you would like to answer that, you can answer that for us. Yes. Otherwise, please go ahead.
I would say that both are a combination, okay, to start off. A servant leadership is somebody who is not in command and control, but who's ready to serve, to just put it short, okay? And Tarnum, I have shared the book Trust and Inspire with you. So please read it. You will understand what is the difference between command and control, and what is servant leadership. You should be ready to serve. And I'm sure that you have seen it at NCFE. We as leaders do all kinds of work, right? We don't expect only the people who are supposed to do it. We are there on ground. We are lifting chairs, we are doing anything, right? So that I think is the most important. And a servant leader can become a transformational leader. So a transformational leader is somebody who changes people, who transforms people, who makes people start believing in themselves. And with this, Gaurav, I just want to talk about the Death Valley. I think if you have heard about it, and then how it gave flowers in 2005. And so a lot of people were very shocked about it, okay, because they started wondering, it's, I think, in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. So Death Valley was something that was barren, dry, and nobody ever believed that it can give flowers. But in 2005, suddenly flowers started blooming. So that's how people are. They may be dormant, they may be quiet, you may not know, but it is the skill of a leader who can bring out their potential, who can see their beauty in them, who can see, identify a skill in them, identify something good and bring that out. That is a transformational leader. But to be that, you need to be a servant leader because you're serving people with your time, with your patience, with your energy, and with all the selflessness possible. I will keep repeating on selflessness.
Absolutely. This session. While every point, as I mentioned, was packing a punch, but definitely for me, the chord is with the leadership aspect of it, because we all believe that we need a lot of leaders in school leadership in our country, especially in our country, because suddenly, I think even Sonia pointed out that there are teachers or there are people who very reluctantly join this profession, or they are never had this as a first choice of their profession. So invariably, the session or the sector possibly gets people who are not really that motivated at the very first place. But to have people in this profession and then bring the leadership aspect from them, I think that's the key for Indian school leadership to really perform well. Because many a times there will be scenarios where you will have a scenario of a Death Valley, and you'll find that, oh my God, I'm with a bunch of people who are not motivated enough to become the leader for that matter, right? And I had my personal view, but I would not like to cloud this discussion with my personal view on this, because I think this was all yours. And I think you've made a great point, and we are 3 minutes ahead of our schedule. So I don't want to keep anyone's time furthermore. So for now, good evening, everyone. And thank you very much for your lovely time. And Sonali ji, once again, lovely listening to you. Every point was worth giving a shot and worth reflecting on. And I'm sure everyone who is here in our discussion, while I saw a few more responses coming to our top 10 priorities list, but I would definitely encourage, please send in more responses so that we have more inclusive understanding of how the country or the leaders are thinking on the top 10 priorities, basically. Right? On that note, I thank you, all of you. Have a great evening ahead. Hope to see you tomorrow. So we have our final session tomorrow, and we will then conclude this series. Sonali ji, once again, thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much for all the reflection that you made me do. Thank you.
Take care.